Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and it is happening. XRP Ledger validators have voted to change the XRP Ledger forever, adding new functionalities specifically for NFTs. Now, mind you, although, as I stated, they voted yes, that doesn't mean that the amendment is passed and fully implemented. It basically sets a timer. I'll explain the specifics of what that means. But I also want to talk about why this is potentially a big deal, because if you're like me, perhaps you also believe that utility matters and will win the day. NFTs, man, I don't know exactly. Nobody doesn't. Don't know what the landscape's going to look like regarding NFTs if you fast forward a decade or two, but they're going to be here. And there are some tremendous opportunities out there. And thankfully, it looks like, in all probability, the XRP Ledger is going to have an opportunity to be at play, and this also increases utility for XRP if this passes. So really big stuff, and I'll break down exactly what I'm really getting at here as the video goes on. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so there's all sorts of stories covering this, including this headline from you today. XRP validators start voting on NFT-related amendment. And ultimately, the amendment passed. Now, a lot of us in the community, including myself, started celebrating a little prematurely, and I actually hadn't tweeted about it or anything like that at that point. But I was also under the false assumption that almost everybody else was within the community, that we had hit the proper threshold to get this amendment on the approval process effectively. So the way that the XRP Ledger works is that when an amendment is proposed, in order for it to pass, at least historically, this is how it's worked, you need to have 80% or greater approval, meaning 80% or more XRP Ledger validators have to vote yes on said amendment. Then, once they vote yes, once you hit that 80% threshold, that starts a 2-week timer. And once that 2-week timer passes, if the vote is sustained for that whole time period, then the amendment is approved and implemented. But just because you have that 80% threshold hit, if it doesn't guarantee anything quite yet, which is basically where we're at now. If anybody leaves and then that drops below 80%, then you got to start all over, if you even have the opportunity. So you'd have to get either that validator to come back, say like, okay, I'm coming back, or get another validator to come along and fill that gap. But if that happens, it still resets the 2-week timer. That's just the way that it's worked. So it gives an opportunity to make thoughtful discourse. And it's a high bar. Like, it's intentionally difficult to implement a change on the XRP Ledger. Intentionally difficult. You need to engage a really thoughtful process, just going through and thinking of all the potential implications. Are we in any sort of way unintentionally wrecking XRP and the XRP Ledger? There's always risks associated with this. And it seems that everybody's done their due diligence and enough have come to the conclusion that, yes, this makes sense, we want this. And so as long as it doesn't mess up payments, and I don't think it will, everything's all good. But here's the part that we got wrong, and former Ripple employee Matt Hamilton explained it, and he wrote, and so this is before, mind you, we actually hit the sufficient approval level, but he tweeted out, "Oh, the amendment to enable native NFT support, which is known as XLS 20 amendment, on the XRP Ledger has just today crossed the 80% threshold of approval needed. Now it has to stay above 80% support for 2 weeks to go live on mainnet." And then in a separate tweet he wrote, "Oh, I may be wrong on this. Someone has pointed out that it has to be above 80%, and it is currently exactly 80%, so might need one more vote, as you were." And then in the following tweet a little bit after that, he wrote, "I was wrong. It is greater than 80%, not greater or equal to 80%. This was changed by an earlier amendment a year ago, so one more vote needed to start the countdown." And so I admit, I didn't know that either, actually. I had always known that it was greater than or equal to 80%, and that's what sets off the 2 weeks, you know, if an amendment's voted on, 80% or greater. I did not realize, there's just a small detail, and I didn't know about it. Even Matt Hamilton didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. Everybody's tweeting, hey, 80%. But it turns out that there was a change that was approved to the XRP Ledger requiring greater than 80%. So how about that? So everybody started celebrating, including me, a little premature. And then shortly after that, we actually did get that final vote. As you can see here, there was a @2cold_XRPL tweeted out, "XRPL community, we have arrived. 2-week countdown now begins. Let's hope the XRP Ledger validators don't flip back their votes. NFTs are coming. NFTs are coming." And then he linked to this website, which I actually wasn't aware of. It's called winmint.day. And it shows a timer at the bottom here, actually, how much time is remaining before the amendment is implemented, assuming nobody changes their vote. So I thought that was kind of cool stuff here, so you can actually track it on here. And so approval is currently at 82.9%. And then there was, if I read that right, it's kind of like old Nintendo looking. That's an intentional style choice, obviously. It's kind of cool looking, but yeah, I think I read that right. Yeah, that's got to be 82.9%. Anyway, then somebody named Free Willy was asking, okay, why are some of these other validators out there voting no? Interesting little tidbit there. It's not as much that these validators never would have voted yes or won't change a vote to yes, but the way that it works is once an amendment is proposed to the XRP ledger, the default position is voting no. So if they're going to change it to yes, they can do that, but the fact that it starts out as no and right now they're listed as no votes, that doesn't mean that they thought about it and said, no, we don't want this to pass. And look, again, NFTs are going to be absolutely gigantic. There is this article from January 5th of this year from CNBC titled, Kevin O'Leary explains why he thinks NFTs will become bigger than Bitcoin. And so as I'm going through some of this information, again, and I'm going to get into some of the specifics, but if we're right, and I think most of us probably think this anyway, I'm making an assumption, but if we're right and NFTs really are here to stay, and if XRP and the XRP ledger is jumping into the fray this early on and get substantial adoption, it's one more thing that will ensure the long-term viability of XRP. And it's not just about issuing assets on the XRP ledger. In order to mint, like XRP is functionally required. So it's fantastic for XRP. It's required at that point. So this could be a big thing, potentially. It's another thing. Anyway, Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary is a big believer in non-fungible tokens. He even thinks they have a shot at becoming bigger than Bitcoin. O'Leary, the chairman of O'Shares Investment Advisors, said his belief in NFT stems from the idea that they prove ownership of real-world items such as designer watches or flash cars digitally rather than with paper records. NFTs are one-of-a-kind crypto tokens that serve to track the provenance and authenticity of rare virtual collectible items such as art and sports memorabilia. There have also been efforts to bring NFTs to physical assets. And here's a quote from him. You're going to see a lot of movement in terms of doing authentication and insurance policies and real estate transfer taxes all online over the next few years, making NFTs much bigger, more fluid market potentially than just Bitcoin alone. So there's so much potential with this stuff, and I want to see some of it get adopted on the XRP ledger. Because again, and I've said this many times, I firmly believe this, in order for any cryptocurrency to have long-term viability, it needs to actually do at least one thing really well. It needs to solve one problem for a group of people or businesses. If it does that and it's adopted for that use case, then there you go. For as long as it's serving that purpose, it's going to have viability. And so XRP, that's why it's so interesting. It has XRP in spades. And if this is one more thing that actually results in additional utility, there you go. Even if it were just this and Ripple didn't exist, that would be enough. You just need one thing. That's my personal belief anyway. And then there was this from Seeking Alpha. It's like, what can you, because a lot of people think of NFTs as just stupid, expensive, overpriced JPEGs, and I understand why, but it's so much, it's that and more though. Like it is that, but it's also more. So the headline from Seeking Alpha is, what are NFT royalties and how do they work? And this is from May of this year. And check this out. This is what I'm more excited about for NFTs. And again, great for the XRP ledger, requires XRP if adopted on the XRP ledger. And it's so much better than other platforms like Ethereum. I mean, NFTs on Ethereum versus XRP ledger. Well, there may be slight differences in terms of functionality. I haven't committed all the differences to memory, but certainly in terms of instant transactions that are almost free. I mean, compare that to slow transactions that are very expensive on Ethereum. Like, there is no comparison. But anyway, article reads as follows. NFT royalties are payments that compensate original NFT creators for the use of their non-fungible tokens. In business, royalties generally pay the creator a percentage of sales or profits. With NFTs, royalties are usually set by the owner during the minting process. Royalties from NFTs give the original owner a percentage of the sale price each time the NFT creation is sold on a marketplace. The average NFT royalty typically ranges from 5 to 10%. In most NFT marketplaces, the creator can choose their royalty percentage, and the payments are automatic upon each subsequent sale in the secondary market. So think about it. Whether it's rights to something, or even if it is just a glorified JPEG, and it's like people just want that. Every time, if you're the creator and you set this, if you're the one that minted it, you could set it so that, since the payments would occur, I would assume certainly in XRP, the native digital asset here, that would be my assumption anyway. If that's what's happening, then you just set it to whatever amount of XRP it's sold for, you get 5% or 10%, whatever it may be. And it's all on the blockchain, it's all verifiable, it's all immutable. And this is going to open up a lot of creative avenues for creative types, frankly. Whether it's bloggers or people that are putting together documentaries, whatever it is. Whatever it is. It opens up a whole new world of transactions and getting your own content out there into the world. So this, I do believe, is something that's going to be here to stay. And so the question is it going to stay on the XRP ledger and get heavily adopted on the XRP ledger? Don't know for sure. It's going to be here, though, so far as I'm concerned. Because this just makes life so much better for people that are making stuff. It just seems so obvious to me. But let me know what you think below. I really hope it's probably going to pass. I'm optimistic. These things, it's like, think about this. The people that finally made the decision to vote yes on this stuff, they didn't do it all willy-nilly. They probably thoroughly thought through this. So the odds of somebody rolling back the vote, fine, it could happen, probably not likely. Anyway, let me know what you think below, but I'm feeling good about this stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. So that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.